Many people ask me, is it possible to have a diagnosis of ADHD and borderline personality disorder? This is the topic of this video. I'm Professor Shania Rathod, a psychiatrist in the United Kingdom. I post interesting videos weekly on my YouTube channel. Please don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on the next one. Yes, it is possible to be diagnosed with both ADHD and borderline personality disorder. And due to overlap of some symptoms like emotional dysregulation, impulsivity, and difficulties in interpersonal relationships, there is also potential for misdiagnosis. ADHD is a neurodevelopmental condition that causes differences in the brain relating to attention, behavior, and activity levels, including impulsivity and hyperactivity. There are much higher chances of having other comorbid conditions like depression, anxiety, where one has ADHD. The most important comorbidities in ADHD include anxiety disorders, substance use disorders, and personality disorders. Borderline personality disorder is a diagnosis where individuals' pattern of personality disturbance is characterized by a pervasive pattern of instability of interpersonal relationships, self-image and affect, and marked impulsivity. At the core of borderline personality disorder is a very anxious attachment style, and often in the context of BPD, this is typically a trauma response leading to the need for safety, but then not being able to trust. Many individuals with BPD experience intense feelings of shame, guilt, and rejection that can be overwhelming, and sometimes it becomes so much that it can lead to emotional dysregulation with behaviors like outbursts. Research shows that the more intense a person's ADHD symptoms are, the higher the chances they may also be diagnosed with a personality disorder. This isn't surprising when you consider the common risk factors, things like difficult childhood, sensitive temperaments, and a family history of mental health challenges. These shared roots help explain the overlap. But there is something deeper going on. A child with ADHD doesn't just experience the world differently. They often perceive it through a lens shaped by feeling out of place. Struggles at school, tension at home, and being misunderstood can leave lasting emotional marks. Meanwhile, caregivers and teachers may respond more critically, often without understanding the neurodiversity behind the behavior. Early life experiences shape our personalities. For children with ADHD, trauma isn't always about one event. It's about the repeated sense of not belonging, of constantly being too much or not enough. Without stable, supportive relationships to help them learn emotional regulation, these kids can grow up without the tools needed to manage distress or express emotions in a healthy way. This emotional gap can widen over time, leading to long-term difficulties with self-regulation, identity, and trust in others, all hallmark features of borderline personality disorder. In many ways, it explains why the world may feel like a hostile place to someone growing up with this dual vulnerability. While ADHD and BPD can share some similar traits, they show up in different ways and for different reasons. Let's take impulsivity, for example. In ADHD, it often looks like blurting things out, interrupting others, or struggling to wait your turn. It's more about acting too quickly without thinking across most situations, whether calm or chaotic. This kind of impulsivity is tied to attention and motor control. In borderline personality disorder, impulsivity tends to be emotional and reactive. It's driven by intense feelings and often shows up during moments of distress. That's why it might involve more high-stake behaviors like binge eating, overspending, reckless driving, or sexual choices. These actions are less about impatience and more about coping with overwhelming emotions in the moment. Emotional ups and downs or dysregulation are a big part of borderline personality disorder. People with BPD often struggle with a shaky sense of self, intense mood swings, sometimes fluctuating within minutes or hours, frequent outbursts, and turbulent relationships. These emotional storms can feel overwhelming and unpredictable. Now, emotional dysregulation isn't an official hallmark of ADHD, but Many adults with ADHD still experience it. Why? Because they often work extra hard to fit in, crave approval, and are especially sensitive to rejection. That emotional pressure can lead to mood swings, low frustration tolerance, and quick shifts into anger or excitement. That said, there are differences. People with ADHD usually have more tools to rein in their emotions. They tend to bounce back quicker and are more likely to use logic-based strategies to calm themselves down. On the flip side, people with BPD can struggle to even name what they are feeling and may fall into habits like overthinking or trying to suppress their emotions. Another key distinction: the emotional challenges tied to ADHD often fade with time, but in BPD they tend to be deeper, more intense, and longer lasting into adulthood. When it comes to relationship struggles, both ADHD and borderline personality disorder can play a role, but in very different ways. People with ADHD may run into relationship troubles at work or in their personal lives, but it's often more of a ripple effect from other challenges, like being late, missing deadlines, or making impulsive errors. These issues can lead to tension with colleagues, friends, or partners, but they are not rooted in emotional instability. In contrast, relationship difficulties in borderline personality disorder are deeper and more intense. These relationships tend to be dramatic, short-lived, and emotionally charged. That's because BPD often comes with a fragile sense of self, mood swings, and a constant sense of inner tension, like an emotional pressure cooker. This inner distress can lead to paranoid thoughts like feeling hated or abandoned, which only adds fuel to an already unstable relationship. Another striking difference is identity. People with BPD often describe feeling empty or like they don't truly know who they are. This isn't typical in ADHD. While ADHD brings its own set of struggles, it doesn't usually come with the same identity confusion or emotional paranoia seen in BPD. When ADHD and BPD occur together, the challenges tend to be more intense than when either condition exists on its own. People with both diagnoses are more likely to experience severe mental health symptoms like aggression, substance use, and other conditions. This combination can feel overwhelming and isolating, but you don't have to face it alone. If it sounds familiar, reaching out can be a powerful first step towards understanding, support, and better management. Please subscribe to my channel if you've enjoyed today's video. The more subscribers I have, the more YouTube gives me the ability to make more creative videos. Like it, share it, tell it to all the people you know. And thank you for watching.